This is a public exhibition of Lester McCurtis art at the Horsham Township Library. And just walking through right quick, we're going to go by one by one and talk about each piece. The first piece called Stained Glass Wonder. This was made in Adobe Illustrator and also Photoshop. This is Proceed Thread 2. The medium is Adobe Illustrator. All Adobe Illustrator. This is Eagle's Flight, done in Adobe Illustrator. Initially, that eagle was a pencil drawing and then scanned into Adobe Illustrator. Used the pen tool to create the art and the flag and everything in Adobe Illustrator. This is Proceed Thread 1, the original. I love the big cats, the lions, because I'm a Leo, I guess. And this is just a leopard peering out of the colorful leaves. And I think that's a 16 by 20 frame. Blue Label. This is done solely in Adobe Illustrator, digital design work. All the different pieces that graphic artists use, the pens, pads, protractors, triangles, I think a little calculator was in there, and all the different tools that a graphic designer would use are in here, and I drew them each one separately in Adobe Illustrator and then came up with this abstract piece. Up from it, this is The Awakening. This was done in Adobe Illustrator also. This is hands of like God reaching up and holding up a man and a woman, waking up from the nice bright sunshine. This next piece is a black and white. It's called Little Italy. This was actually my first designer colors, my first painting made in designer's colors, black and shades of gray. Was scanned into Adobe Photoshop and manipulated to get different effects. And it's getting into the black and whites. This is the Sacred Grounds, I call. This was actually a very detailed drawing done in pen and ink, and then scanned into Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. Actually, I drew this from, I have two mahogany pieces at home. This is a three-dimensional art that I drew these from. And if you saw the three-dimensional art, it's an exact replica, this drawing. I really love this drawing. A lot of detail in there. I don't know if you can see it from the video, but that's Sacred Grounds. Above it, this is a black and white version of the Blue Label, one we talked about before. And here's a black and white, The Athlete. This is a pencil drawing originally, and then it was scanned into Adobe Illustrator. It's no athlete, nobody in particular, just some football player I drew. And then we have Conscious Thought, which reminds you of the famous painting of Rodin. Conscious Thought. So it's my version of the Rodin. This was a pen and ink drawing done by hand, and then it was scanned into Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. Another black and white. This is Faces of Cosby. This drawing, almost dropped the camera. It's on a 16 by 20 frame. Cosby is one of my favorites when it comes to writing of the prose, and I used a lot of his sketches and prose pieces from his book, Fatherhood, and so, you know, he's just one of my favorites in that, and I drew him. And these are all the different expressions that he's made, probably in TV and movies that he's done. It's Faces of Cosby. It's a pencil drawing. Then we have Native Son. This is a very graphic and colorful piece. I like the real hard graphics, so Native Son reflects that. I believe this is a 11 by 14 frame it's on. It was done solely in Adobe Illustrator. This is just a smaller version of Proceed Thread 2 that we talked about earlier. I believe that's 11 by 14 frame. This piece called The Regulator. This was done solely in Adobe Photoshop. All these different elements were just put together and composed to make this art in Adobe Photoshop. I like The Regulator because I used to do a lot of welding and using the cutting torch and things of that nature, so that's The Regulator. And this is just a smaller version of Stained Glass Wonder. And this piece is called Cherished Memories. This was done solely in Adobe Photoshop. And I think I put it in Illustrator too. But most of the art is all done in Adobe Photoshop, digital design art. It has a photo of myself I inserted in the art when I was about 9 or 10. And that's what makes this piece real special to me. You'd have to find that. You probably can't see it right off, but you have to find it. And this last piece is called Butterfly Flurries. Butterfly Flurries shows my hard graphic that I like, and then I threw some black and white in there on top. I think this is like a 20 by 32 frame that's on. Butterfly Flurry. So that concludes the public display. Lester McCurtis art exhibition at the Horsham Township Library in Horsham, Pennsylvania.